good to be back with you here in the North Country. Was in Washington, D.C. yesterday, visiting with some congressional members. Also spent some time in Senator Sanders' office. Welcome this day to Ed Schultz News and Commentary. And when I got off my airplane last night, when I got back in Minnesota, my iPhone was going nuts because everybody was willing to tell me that Hilary Clinton has taken a position on the Trans-Pacific Partnership. I think it's great. I think activism, I think competition, I think the history of trade agreements has probably moved Hillary to where she is right now. But I want to be very clear here. As I view this as a positive move and a good move by Hilary Clinton, her taking a position is not the mission. The mission is to kill the deal. That's what this is about. It's not about Obama. It's not about Clinton. It's not about Sanders. It's not about anybody who thinks they should be president of the United States. It is about killing a deal that is going to be horribly injurious to American workers and certainly cripple our economy even further and decimate the middle class in this country. So, people change on issues. I've changed on some issues in my career over time. You get information, you disseminate it, you view it, you think about the future, the cause and effect, and what it's going to do to America. And I accept the fact that Hillary has evolved. And she's come quite a way to this point, but I think she's got to go further, and I'll get into that in just a moment. First of all, let's go back to 2012 when she was Secretary of State. She said this about the Trans-Pacific Partnership.
The so-called TPP will lower barriers, raise standards, and drive long-term growth across the region. It will cover 40% of the world's total trade and establish strong protections for workers and the environment. We welcome the interest of any nation willing to meet 21st century standards as embodied in the TPP.
Now, that's Hillary Clinton back in Singapore, overseas, in 2012. Was she selling the Trans-Pacific Partnership at the time? Or was she just making an announcement that this is where President Obama stands and I happen to be working for the guy? But I find it hard to believe that she didn't know more about the agreement back then, because now she's saying the more she finds out about it, she's evolving on the issue. Now, whether you're a Hillary supporter or a Bernie supporter, it doesn't matter. What are we doing to get America on the same page to understand what's happening? When I was in Washington yesterday, I had some lunch with some House members. Rosa DeLauro was one of them. She showed me a poll that half the people in this country don't even know what the hell the Trans-Pacific Partnership is because it's gotten such little coverage. And there's a good number of Republicans in the House who are against it. So this isn't over yet. Back to Hillary's evolution on this. So that's Hillary back in Singapore as Secretary of State in 2012. Here she is yesterday with Judy Woodruff on the PBS NewsHour.
What I know about it as of today, I am not in favor of what I have learned about it. And there's one other element I want to make because I think it's important. Trade agreements don't happen in a vacuum. And in order for us to have a competitive economy in the global marketplace, there are things we need to do here at home that help raise wages. And the Republicans have blocked everything President Obama tried to do on that front. So for the larger issues, and then what I know, and again, I don't have the text, we don't yet have all the details, I don't believe it's going to meet the high bar I have set.
So I guess as Secretary of State, she didn't have any more information than any member of Congress. Okay, I guess I'll accept that. I'll accept the fact that she's taking a second look. I'll accept the fact that she's finding out more information, because the mission here is to not only to get Hillary Clinton or anyone who's potentially in a position of power. The mission here is to convince people that we need to kill this deal. Now, the thing that I like about Hillary's evolution on this, which I think is very important for every liberal and everybody in this country who's concerned about workers and our middle class, is that she's against it now for all the right reasons. Here it is.
Well, I have said from the very beginning that we had to have a trade agreement that would create good American jobs, raise wages, and advance our national security. And I still believe that's the high bar we have to meet. I have been trying to learn as much as I can about the agreement, but I'm worried. I'm worried about currency manipulation not being part of the agreement. We've lost American jobs to the manipulations that countries, particularly in Asia, have engaged in. I'm worried that the pharmaceutical companies may have gotten more benefits and patients and consumers fewer. I think that there are still a lot of unanswered questions, but for me, it really comes down to those 3 points that I made.
The 3 points that she made? Well, first of all, on currency manipulation, there's not going to be any changes in the deal. As far as the pharmaceutical industry and the provisions there, they've gone as far as they're going to go. They're not going to make any more changes there. Investor-state trade disputes, that's the big one. And apparently she wrote about that in her book, Hard Choices. I haven't read it, but so I'm told. Here's the bottom line. Trade agreements in the past have hurt this country. On this website, wegoted.com, I have got a story. I was just in Lorain, Ohio last week. This is what happens when you have a bad trade deal. And Hillary is starting to come around on this and realizing that these out-of-work, middle-class Americans hurt America. There's no reason why we should be doing another trade agreement that's going to put more jobs in jeopardy on our own soil and hurt our economy, and also reduce disposable income for Americans. She's starting to get that, and she mentioned the South Korean trade deal.
We've learned a lot about trade agreements in the past years. Sometimes they look great on paper. I know when President Obama came into office, he inherited a trade agreement with South Korea. I, along with other members of the cabinet, pushed hard to get a better agreement. We think we made improvements. Now, looking back on it, it doesn't have the results we thought it would have in terms of access to the markets, more exports, et cetera.
That's right. Looking back on it, it was a bad deal because we are allowing South Korea to dump steel on our market, and it's putting people out of work, and it's idling plants around this country. So what has brought Hillary to where she is today? Competition? You could make that conclusion that if Bernie Sanders wasn't in the race, she wouldn't be where she is right now because she wouldn't be pushed by the left to do it. It's not just the left. There's a lot of right-wingers who are against this deal. Oh, by the way, Donald Trump says it's a bad deal. So Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump are on the same page when it comes to the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Is she willing to say that? The other thing is that it's the competition, it's the activism. In the history of this country, this is a first, that every single union in this country is against the Trans-Pacific Partnership. Across the board, they're against it. How are they going to go out and endorse Hillary Clinton when they know that she is for something like this? So it was a political take, no question about it, to get their support. And the other thing is the past trade deals, which, of course, she just mentioned on the South Korean pact that we've got right now that's gutting American jobs. So the competition, the activism, and, of course, the history probably has brought Hillary to where she is right now. And I'll give her the benefit of the doubt. I think this is good news. But this isn't about her just taking a position. This is about killing the deal. This is where there is an opportunity of leadership for Hillary Clinton. Over the next several months, and this deal isn't going to happen next week. This has to be vetted, and there's got to be a waiting period of 60 to 90 days, and it's probably going to get the Congress on board going after it, maybe late December or early next year. That's when this Trans-Pacific Partnership is really going to get hot in the Congress. So there's a lot of time between now and then for Hillary Clinton and every other Democratic candidate to pick up the phone and work the House and say, look, it doesn't look like they're going to have enough votes in the Senate. The 60 is not going to get there. Bernie Sanders is busting his ass over there on that. I talked to him about it yesterday in his office in Washington. But they can work the House members. And there is hope in the House that this trade pact can be defeated. Take a look at President Obama here. President Obama has gone out on the cables. He's gone out on the news. He's been out on the stump telling people how wonderful this trade deal is. Do you realize that this president is not with his party? That the majority of Democrats in the Senate are against this? The majority of House members in the House are against the Trans-Pacific Partnership? So now Hillary Clinton now stands with Democrats. So what Hilary Clinton and Bernie Sanders and whoever else is running for president, what they need to do, they need to work the House. They need to lobby the House. They need to pick up the phone and say, we got to kill this deal. It's not just about making a statement. It's about killing the deal, because every single union in this country doesn't want it, because there's a poor history on trade agreements. The currency manipulation isn't going to change. The pharmaceuticals are going to gouge us down the road. And also the automobile industry is going to be gutted because of the percentage of parts that can be put into a car and dropped on our market duty free. It's going to explode in China when it comes to the auto parts portion of their industry, and they're trying to defeat America. This TPP will defeat American workers. So I think it's good news that Hillary is doing what she's doing, but we still got work to do. I'm a Bernie guy because he's been absolute on this for a long time.